So in this video, I will explain how I transformed this scene into this using just this one, my Phottix Indra 500. So hi everyone, this is Jiggy, a portrait and wedding photographer from the Philippines, and welcome to the channel. So before anything else, if you guys haven't subscribed to the channel and would want to learn more about off-camera flash photography, then this channel is for you. So if you haven't subscribed, please do, and while you're at it, click that notification bell so that you get notified every time I upload a new video. And if you want to see more of my images, you could always find me on Instagram. It's at Jiggy Alejandrino. So for you guys that are familiar with my channel, you know that I love doing live demonstrations of my actual shoot, going through all my settings. But in this case, it will be a bit different because I wasn't able to shoot a behind the scenes video while I was doing this actual prenup. Now, prenup meaning an engagement session. We call it a prenup here in the Philippines, but it's really an engagement session. So these are the photographs we take of a couple before their actual wedding. Now, I did have an opportunity though to be able to, or my assistant, I instructed my assistants to actually take a series of behind the scenes photos, and that is what I'm going through today in order for me to explain a basic step-by-step process on how I was able to achieve the image that I showed you guys earlier. Okay, so let's start. So this was the location we chose for this particular shoot. Now, to give you a brief background, when I said that I was going to be shooting in Baguio City is basically the summer capital of the Philippines. It's one of those areas where, since we live in a tropical country, it's one of those colder areas of our country. Now, it is also known for pine trees. There are a lot of pine trees there, especially in Camp John Hay. Now, the vision that I wanted for this particular image was I wanted to have the fog come in and have the couple in between pine trees, giving that really very mysterious, mystical look. Unfortunately, though, that area wouldn't have been safe for us to shoot at night, so we had to recreate a nighttime shot with daylight there. And secondly, because we were shooting more or less not into the night yet, we didn't get the fog that we wanted. I didn't have a smoke machine. I would have loved to have had a smoke machine for the shoot, but we didn't have that. So we needed to make do with what we had. So with my light, I wanted to transform this scene into an evening scene. So we chose this location because there was a lot of pine trees there and a lot of shrubs all over, so it really did add to that mystical look. And as you can see, it's just right by the road. It's probably about 100 meters down, though it is lower. In other words, this is easily about 30 feet higher. The road was about 30 feet higher. Now, the choice of modifier that I used was the Phottix Raja Deep Octa, and the light, as I said earlier, is this one. This is the Phottix Indra 500. The Phottix Indra 500 is basically a TTL studio strobe that's powered via battery. In other words, I can bring it to locations like this. Now, the camera that I used for this particular shoot is the Sony a7R Mark II with a 50mm 1.4 lens. I shot this one in manual mode. I set it at 1/60 f1.4 ISO 400, and I will explain all those settings later when we go through the slides. Okay, so from this particular layout, basically we were just trying to find a place where we wanted to shoot, the proper background for them, and the proper composition. From here, obviously, now we got the area in which I wanted to shoot. I started taking some test shots. So when I do some test shots, I actually take it light per light. In other words, I will adjust first my ambient light, in which in this case, I actually removed all ambient light because, as I said, I wanted it to look like an evening shot. So from there, I took one test shot using just the one Phottix Indra and then Deep Octa, and this was the output. Okay. So we got our exposure right already on the couple. I think the composition needs to be worked on a little also, but as you can see, it's pitch black in the back. So what we needed was another light here in the back, right? So I had one more Phottix Indra put here with a long throw reflector. What is a long throw reflector? It's basically a big reflector like this. In other words, it makes your light stronger, it throws it further. And the reason why I needed that was because I was bringing in the principle of the inverse square law. If I had the light somewhere here and I want to eliminate the background and the trees, the inverse square law will actually create hotspots in certain areas. In other words, other areas would be overexposed to the properly exposed areas. So for me to be able to get everything properly exposed, especially in the background, I had to take the light further away, therefore making the light as evenly distributed as possible. That is basically an application of the inverse square law. That's why I put the light somewhere here, which was about, again, 100 feet away, 15-20 feet high. That's why I needed another 500 watt strobe there and the long throw reflector so that I wouldn't overpower my strobe. And I took a test shot, and this is what it did. It basically lit up the areas behind them, but with this test shot, it was still a bit underexposed. So that's when I redid my settings because I didn't want to overpower my flash again. So that's why I boosted my ISO to ISO 400. But with ISO 400, I was probably shooting this at 1/4 or 1/2 power only. Therefore, I wasn't putting too much strain on the battery and my recycle time would be faster. My main light was probably, I think, if I'm not mistaken, about 132 power at that time. And this was the type of light that I was able to get when I properly dialed in all my settings. You can see that I'm getting a flood of light coming from here, and the hot spots or the stronger light is somewhere here. And because it was so far away, this particular area were all more or less in the same exposure as what the inverse square law states. So from there, all I needed to do was really just focus on the posing, and this is the actual output of that particular scene. So again, I was able to transform this scene. When I properly posed them already, we got my light dialed in, we did a few more layouts, so we were able to transform this scene into this. Okay? So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. And again, please do consider subscribing to the channel, and while you're at it, click that notification bell so that you get notified every time I upload a new video. And if you want to see more of my images or some quick tutorials actually that I post, it is all on Instagram, so you can follow me there. It's at Jiggy Alejandrino. Okay, till the next video.